Picture a golden glow, the soothing warmth of bright sunlight pouring in through the south-facing windows of a second-floor apartment on Flournoy Street, on Chicago's west side. The year is 1952, and it's here that a young mind begins to form its first memories. The world is an exploration of textures and colors, the comforting smoothness of a warm iron radiator, the rough grain of a wooden floor, the myriad forms of furniture observed from a close-to-the-ground viewpoint. This is home, a one-bedroom apartment that shelters 2 adults and 3 children in the heart of the city. The city, with its alleyways and streets, becomes a playground. The alleyway, a mosaic of black cinders dumped from coal-burning boilers, mixed with tens of thousands of tiny broken glass pieces from various colored bottles. On a sunny day, it transforms into a wide path of shiny, sparkling gems. Yet, the alleyway is often bathed in shadows, cast by the elevated train tracks for both freight trains and the city's L trains. The steel girders supporting these tracks tower at the second-floor level of the apartment, a mere 10 yards from the northern wall of the building. The trains are a constant, a cacophony that defies mere words. They rumble by morning, noon, and night, their noise resonating through the buildings and everything within, including the people. It's a marvel that the buildings don't crumble, that the people don't disintegrate under the relentless onslaught of sound and vibrations. Perhaps in a way they do. In this urban jungle, wash day is a ritual, a ceremony undertaken by someone in the building every day. 6 families coexist within the 3-story brick building, surrounded by similar structures. The basement, part concrete, part brick, houses 3 double gray concrete washtubs, each paired with a scrub board and a hand wringer. Clothing is scrubbed by hand, wrung out, and hung to dry. Depending on the season and the weather, the drying lines might be in the basement or strung up in the apartment. These are the memories of the 1950s, snapshots of a time and place. They are scenes of a city life, of a community bound by shared experiences, of the constant presence of urban sounds and the resilience of people amidst it. They are memories of a simpler time, where joy was found in the sparkle of broken glass, and where the rhythm of life was set by the passing trains. They are reminders of the enduring human spirit, adapting and thriving in the face of challenges.
Do you remember the simple joys of childhood? The world was a vast playground, and every day was ripe with discovery. The smell of clean laundry, the warmth of a radiator, the sound of a coal truck. These were the simple pleasures that defined our existence. Picture this. It's the 1950s, and apartment life was a common reality. Clothes hung to dry over gas stoves, sometimes catching fire if left unattended for too long. In the basements, clotheslines stretched across the room, the garments absorbing the warmth from the coal-burning furnace boiler that heated the water in the apartment's radiators. In the winter, stooping was a common sight. People bent over to hang their laundry, the lines dipping low under the weight of wet clothes. The coal for the furnace was delivered by truck and dumped at the back of the apartment building. From there, it was shoveled into a steel door that led to the coal room in the basement, right next to the boiler. By the time I was 8 years old, my family moved out of the apartment building. Life was simple then. You didn't question what you got. Landlords and building owners were more interested in making money than making friends. Failure to pay the rent meant eviction, no matter how harsh the winter was. If you couldn't move out quickly enough, hired thugs would come into your apartment, often accompanied by the sheriff's police. They'd remove a window frame and toss all your belongings out from 3 floors up. But let's not dwell on the harsh realities. Let's go back to those clotheslines. As the weather improved and the threat of laundry icicles diminished, clotheslines strung between the buildings came alive with color. Wooden clothespins held the laundry in place, and the pulleys allowed more clothes to be hung up. When the wind blew, the clothes danced in the breeze, creating a festive display. It was a simpler time, shaped by the realities of the era. The experiences of those years have undoubtedly shaped our present. We've come a long way since then, but the echoes of the past still resonate in our lives. The lessons learned, the hardships endured, and the joy found in the simplest of things have made us who we are today. So, as we move forward, let's not forget where we've come from. Let's cherish the past, for it has shaped our present and will continue to influence our future. After all, we are the sum of our experiences, and our past is an integral part of that equation.
Immerse yourself in the nostalgic tapestry of the 1950s, a time when life was simpler, yet rich with a unique cultural blend. Picture the west side of Chicago, where the air was filled with the aroma of homemade pasta and the sounds of children playing stickball in the streets. The neighborhood, a vibrant mosaic of Italian and Irish families, was a testament to the strength of community and tradition. In this heart of Chicago, Catholicism was the glue that bound the community together, with grand churches and schools that stood as beacons of faith and education. The mesmerizing Latin masses, performed in grand churches adorned with stained glass windows and statues, offered a tranquil sanctuary for many. It was a time when uniforms were the great equalizer, erasing the lines of disparity and instilling a sense of unity amongst children from hard-working lower-middle-class families. In every apartment you would find a sacred corner adorned with holy pictures, crucifixes, and flickering candles in red glass holders. The air was filled with a linguistic cocktail of Italian, Gallic, and English, creating a unique harmony that echoed the essence of this diverse neighborhood. The community was a living, breathing entity, sharing not just food and clothes, but also the ethos of caring and sharing. The adults were the neighborhood's guardians, ensuring peace and order, often stepping in when the Chicago police had more pressing matters to attend to. The women, the unsung heroes, were the backbone of the community, nurturing their families and homes with love and dedication. They were the embodiment of compassion, offsetting the occasional male aggression and violence that surfaced. This stark contrast between the genders, a testament to the societal norms of the time, is a difference that has endured over the decades. This nostalgic journey through the 1950s West Side Chicago paints a picture of a simpler time, a time marked by community spirit, shared values, and a distinct cultural blend. It was an era where people found joy in the simple things, content with being able to provide for their families. It serves as a poignant reminder of our roots and the enduring power of community and tradition. In essence, the West Side of Chicago during the 1950s was more than just a neighborhood. It was a microcosm of life, love, faith, and community. It was a time when the lines between neighbors and family blurred, creating a tight-knit community that stood together through thick and thin. This rich tapestry of life and culture is a testament to the enduring spirit of the West Side Chicago community, a spirit that is still palpable today.
Picture this, the bustling streets of 1950s Chicago, where children had no playgrounds except the streets and the alleys. The danger was real, the stakes were high, but the thrill of the game was too enticing. Chapter 1. The Ball Chasers. Two 5-year-old friends, a bouncing ball and a speeding car. A quick game turned into a life-changing moment as the car hit both friends at the same time. The driver, a regular at the local tavern, was shaken, but the boys were resilient. They knew they were at fault and ran away, only to be caught and comforted by the driver. From that day forward, a bond was formed, resulting in soda and chips for the boys every time the driver saw them. Even a wooden top, a toy that still exists today decades later as a symbol of this unexpected friendship. Chapter 2. The Train Track Daredevils. Picture older boys, the bravado of youth coursing through their veins, climbing 40-foot-high steel girders to lay between tracks while freight trains thundered above them. A dangerous game of chicken, a testament to their bravery, or perhaps their recklessness. Chapter 3. The Freight Train Riders. Imagine the thrill of grabbing onto a moving freight train, feeling the wind in your hair, the adrenaline pumping through your veins. But that thrill quickly turned into fear as the train picked up speed, resulting in a painful tumble and a lesson well learned. And finally, Chapter 4. The Bridge Rock Throwers. A group of children, a bridge, and unsuspecting cars below. Rocks hurled down onto cars, and the exhilarating chase from the angry drivers. An act of rebellion, a test of courage, but luckily, no direct participation. So, as we stroll down memory lane, we're reminded of the risks and thrills of growing up in 1950s Chicago. The streets and alleys weren't just concrete and brick, they were the backdrop to countless stories of childhood bravery, recklessness, and lessons learned. From the ball chasers to the train track daredevils, the freight train riders to the bridge rock throwers, these memories paint a vivid picture of a time and place where danger and adventure walked hand in hand.
Welcome, fellow time travelers. Close your eyes and step back in time with me to the 1950s, a time of simple pleasures and complex realities. Picture the scene, a group of kids, hardy and unkempt, playing in the streets, their laughter echoing off the walls of a vacant factory. The windows, small and wired, were a tempting target for the little ruffians who'd throw rocks at them with wild abandon. Now, I never quite understood the thrill of destruction, the joy in the sound of shattering glass. But in that moment, I suppose it was our definition of fun. In the hollowed-out belly of that factory, pigeons made their home, oblivious to our juvenile antics. Often, kids from neighboring blocks would invade our territory, sparking off skirmishes. Sticks and stones were our weapons of choice. Looking back, it's almost amusing to think that this might have been how baseball was born, from the primitive need to throw and hit. Occasionally, a daring rabbit would stray into our urban jungle. We'd devise intricate traps, hoping to capture these elusive creatures. Our bait of choice? A humble carrot. Alas, we never did come face to face with a rabbit. I shudder to think of the number of rats we could have caught, had we used different baits. In retrospect, it's clear that we were learning the art of destruction and violence at an incredibly tender age. Our parents did their best to teach us right from wrong, but the moment we stepped out onto those streets, we were at the mercy of the older, tougher kids. It was a survival of the fittest, a playground for young thugs. Yet, there was an oasis amidst this chaos, a place of refuge, my grandparents' house in Oak Park. Nestled in a suburb adjacent to Chicago, their home was a haven of green grass, blooming flowers, and vegetable gardens. It was like stepping onto a different planet. Their house, though modest, was a paradise to me. My grandparents, both retired, doted on me. My grandfather, a former delivery man for Bowman's Milk Company, had fascinating tales of his daily rounds, delivering dairy products to the local neighborhood with the help of his faithful horse. And my grandmother, ever the nurturing soul, had spent her life raising her family. Those days at my grandparents' house were my slice of heaven on earth, a respite from the rough and tumble of street life. It was a reminder of the gentler, kinder aspects of life. Looking back, I realized the lessons those early years taught me. The importance of compassion, of kindness, of nurturing rather than destroying. It was a time of innocence, a time of learning, a time of growth. And though the world has changed since then, the echoes of those lessons linger on, shaping the person I am today.
Do you remember your childhood visits to your grandparents' house? A place of warmth, affection, and endless joy where every day seemed to be an adventure waiting to unfold. This story is about such a place, nestled in the suburbs of Chicago during the nostalgic era of the 1950s and beyond. Think back to the time when grandfathers were the epitome of wisdom, and grandmothers the embodiment of love. I fondly remember my own grandfather, a man with a passion for horses, who, despite his lack of artistic skill, would paint by the number, creating pictures of horses in his retirement. His persistence was endearing and, as it turns out, contagious. Now, in my own retirement, I find myself following in his footsteps, painting with unskilled enthusiasm. My grandparents were simple folks who worked tirelessly throughout their lives. They weren't wealthy, but they had everything they needed: a cozy home, a modest car, and enough money to fill their pantry. Their love and kindness were abundant, and to this day I miss them deeply. The visits to my grandparents' home were the highlight of my childhood. Their house was a sanctuary brimming with love, thoughtfulness, kindness, and an intimate connection with nature. The green grass, the towering trees, the vibrant flowers, and the delightful sight of birds and rabbits. It was a small slice of heaven on earth. As a child, there was no place I'd rather be. Now, at 73, those memories still represent the pinnacle of joy and innocence. I learned early on what happiness truly meant. It wasn't about material possessions or wealth, but about love, thoughtfulness, and kindness. Priceless virtues that money can't buy. I can still recall the mornings spent in their sunny kitchen, munching on cereal and cookies, sipping milk and listening to Arthur Godfrey's Lipton Tea radio show. Outside the window, the world was a canvas of colors and life. After breakfast, my grandfather and I would step outside to pick apples and pears from the backyard trees. We would bring them to my grandmother, who would skillfully turn them into jars of applesauce and delicious pies. My grandfather was my first teacher, introducing me to the wonders of nature. The simple pleasures of childhood were found in dime stores, where a child's imagination could run wild. Toy soldiers, cowboys, and Indians, all made from lead, plastic, or rubber, were treasures to be had.
A dime could buy a bag full of these miniatures, or a coloring book, a doll, or even a big Hershey chocolate bar. These were the days when a dime held a world of possibilities. As we journey through life, we come to realize that the most precious moments aren't about grandeur or extravagance. They're about the pure joy of a leisurely breakfast, the thrill of climbing trees, the simple happiness found in a bag of toy soldiers, and the warmth of a grandparent's love. These are the memories that we carry in our hearts, the ones that shape us and stay with us, long after we've grown up. They remind us of a time when life was simpler, and perhaps a little bit sweeter.